And I want to start off with Aigagalefili Fepulea'i-Tapua'i's question at the Leaders' Debate, which I'm sure that you all saw. And I want to get you all to answer Fili's question because many Pasifika people, including Fili, didn't believe that either leaders adequately gave her an answer and answered her question. So I'm going to put it to you. I'll start with, and I know that none of you candidates have a Samoan husband, so you can't start off with that line. But I will start with you, Agnes. What will you do to keep students from leaving school and having to get jobs to support their families?
I think that story that was highlighted by Ainganga, and it's not the first time this has happened before, but it's been highlighted. And it is the tragedy that these students had to make a choice. And actually, that is the choice that I would make if that was me and my parents lost a job. I would, of course, because we put family first, and I would, of course, take work. The issue is that the education system is broken if the students have to make that choice.
So we need a system put in place to make sure that they don't have to make that choice.
Well, all our students had to learn from home during lockdown. Education, with the technology that we had, and fortunately National rolled out fast internet across the country, is that we have the ability to do some teaching at home, and parents had to become the teachers. So we do have to access the technology at hand, plus we have to have some flexibility. And so that learning is not a one-size-fits-all, that it is something for that child, for where they are at, regardless of their home situation, where they're from, how old they are, any other factors.
So just to be clear, are you saying if they have to go out and get jobs that they should still have an opportunity to do some home learning? Is that what you're
They have to have some choices. They have to be able to have some other choices so they are not left behind.
Okay, so more choices rather than just school and a job.
Yeah, more choices, some flexibility about how we teach. Okay. So it's not fixed to 9 to 3 at that particular classroom.
Okay. Luella, how would you answer that question?
I think it's a really good question. It was a really hard question too. I think one of our greatest strengths, Pasifika Māori, is our love for our family and our community. And that becomes a disadvantage in these circumstances because it means that we will give what we can to our families. So I feel for our youth that would do that, and like Agnes, if I was in that position, I would too. I think a lot of friends that I've grew up with that didn't do well at school went back in the early 20s to Polytech or to university and they flourished. Sometimes it's a timing thing, so 2 things I'd do. Enable other opportunities through education, and it might be at another point in their life, a few years down the track. But also I really like the idea of a universal wage, particularly for families, so that they can afford to just be good parents and raise great kids.
Okay. Alpito, both Luella and Agnes are right in pointing out that this is not new in our Pacific communities. It was happening before COVID-19. Obviously, it's magnified by the current pandemic. So how would you answer Fili's question?
Oh, look, I constantly reach out to the young people. So there is an issue in the gap between transitioning from high school, whether it's to tertiary or to employment. In this case, it does happen at the moment. And with COVID-19, it wasn't just about parents asking them to work. It was also the cancellation of Polyfest, not being able to move around and not having to, study online because there was limitations in the ability to do that. So what I've been asking our young people is to consider also the free trades and apprenticeship scheme, an opportunity where you can learn and earn at the same time. But the other element of that is I've asked our church leaders, we've got to identify which families are experiencing hardship and struggling, because I suspect that those who may have lost jobs, many of them have never applied for welfare support from MSD.
Suspect.
So I've asked them to take the lead, make sure that we're engaging with those families in need so that they receive the information about what they should be receiving in terms of support, whether it's MSD, from their health provider or Pasifika Futures. The support is there, but sometimes the information isn't getting out. And so that's going to be ongoing discussion. We're doing it online, Zooming with church leaders, but we've also got to get the message down to our parents. Ultimately, I want our parents to be supporting and sacrificing to ensure that our young people complete their education. And part of the role that we as a government have done and will continue to do is to provide those opportunities with training and further education.
You mentioned a learn and earn opportunity. Nash and Agnes talked about flexibility in terms of learning. And isn't this heartbreaking that in 2020 we're still seeing Pacific students, Pacific young people, not having a choice when it comes to the economic level that their families are at after decades of having Pacific MPs in Parliament. And I want to go to you, Lord Daz, next. I will come back to you if you want to respond to that, Alpito. I mean, you are 18 years old. You're closest candidate here to Fili's age. Tell us what you're seeing.
Well, it is, like you were saying, it is quite heartbreaking to see so many young people have to take that step. And it doesn't matter whether or not their Pasifika parents are asking that of them. I know most, if not all, the Pasifika young people I know would do that automatically just because it's in our culture. And I think, yes, there are problems with our education system and accessibility to it and opportunities that come out of it. But that's not the inherent problem right here. We need to acknowledge that there are families who don't have that choice. They have to move out of education so that they can support each other and live well. And that's why the Poverty Action Plan would be a really nice way to make sure people don't have to really apply for the benefit and go through that really, really horrendous process where you are picked apart, and you will have a guaranteed minimum income, and we'll make that process more dignified so that there is no questions, like if you need the help, you will receive it.
Lourdes, have you had friends that have had to leave school?
Yes. Yeah.
From this year?
Yeah.